Do you feel fulfilled in life? The show will begin in 4 minutes. Are you ready? When was the last time you felt betrayed? When was the last time you felt loved? The show will begin in 3 minutes. Are you ready? What did it feel like to be in love? What is the most painful part of being in love? The show will begin in 2 minutes. Are you ready? Are you ready to be transformed? Are you ready to make a change? The show will begin in 1 minute. I hope you're ready. The show will begin in exactly 30 seconds. Get ready.
When a guy asks you for space, do you find yourself confused on what that actually means and what you're supposed to be doing at that time? Well, what if I told you that there is a particular way in which you're supposed to give men space that will allow them to come back to you instead of continuing to ignore you? If you want to learn what that strategy is, then join me on today's show where we'll be discussing how to give men space. That way, the process of him saying he wants a little bit of space in the relationship doesn't turn into him ending the relationship. Welcome to the Players Club. If you're paying attention to me and everyone else in the live stream, please say here or present so I know you're here present and actively participating, okay? How are all of you beautiful people doing, and how was your Christmas, okay? For those of you who may not celebrate Christmas, how was your December 25th, okay? Hope you guys had fun and we got a little bit of a day off to just enjoy life. But we're back here learning today, okay? We're back in the classroom today. And who we got here in the TikTok chat? I see we got Veronica here. Go Plants is here, one of our amazing members. Callie is here. Lebanese Princess is here. Dolce is here. Lex is here. Angela is here. Bree is here. Kayla T is here. Welcome all you beautiful people. And of course, we have our moderators, SH, Scotty, and Charisse here in the TikTok chat. Who we got over in the YouTube chat? I see we got Tracy Niles, one of our amazing channel members is here. Mary Kim is here. Minnie is here. Henya, one of our amazing channel members is here. Ivy, one of our amazing channel members is here. Great Fortune Cookie, one of the best channel members is here. And Nicole Cottom, one of the generous and amazing channel members is here. Welcome all you beautiful people. And of course, we have Missy America holding us down in our YouTube chat. Now, I want to just make you guys aware. If throughout the broadcast you hear it sounds like, I'm a little bit nasally or a little bit stuffed up, it is that. And it's actually a very stupid, silly reason, okay? I'm not hungover or anything. I had some bad Chinese food. I went to the mall, got me some mall Chinese food, and it didn't turn out very good for me, all right? So, but I'm feeling okay now, just a little bit stuffy, all right? But let's get on to the show. So, point number one. Now, this is actually, I think, a really relevant topic to the holidays because this can be a very confusing time for a lot of you, okay? Let me know in the chat, by the way, did you get some presents? Did Santa give you what you wanted? Okay, or were you a little bit disappointed with some of the gifts you received from Santa, whether emotional or physical? Okay, let me draw this G properly. Now, first things first on the docket, okay? And I even spelt genie wrong. We just started the day and I spelt it wrong, okay? We just started. Now, spelling genie correctly. This is what you're going to be for the man. Now, something must have came over me. I thought this was gonna be really bad. Okay, so you are in here, right? You're in the bottle, right? Now, you're a genie in the bottle. And we've got the man over here. He's over here with his spiky hair and his big beady eyes and his silly clown smile. That's him right there. Those are the type of guys you like, okay? No judgment. And the reason I'm drawing out a genie bottle is because I want you to understand this concept. Anytime a guy is asking you for space, the first thing you need to do is you need to be a genie to him that will grant him exactly what he is asking for, okay? We're gonna go through this step by step, and I know it sounds simple in theory, but there are a couple of mistakes and obstacles that you're gonna face in this process that I wanna make you aware of, all right? So, you're the genie in the bottle here, and what do genies do? Genies grant wishes. So, his wish here that he wants from you, right? This is his wish. I want space, Miss Genie, right? And you pop up, right? You're like a mystical, magical figure, right? You pop up and you immediately say, oh, Mr. whatever you want to call him, okay? You may have your wish of space because I am a magical genie that grants any wish you should want. And so when you ask me for space, just like a genie would when you rub the bottle, I immediately grant you your wish. exactly as you asked for it. So what does this actually look like in a more practical sense when you're in a relationship and a guy asks you for space? The first thing that you're going to be inclined to want to do when a guy asks you for space, he says, hey, look, I know we're doing a thing where we're kind of a thing, but I just want to let you know I need some space to think. I need some space to reevaluate my thoughts. The first thing you must do is before you start saying, because this is what you're going to be inclined to want to say, you're going to say, well, why? What did I do? What happened? Did you do something? What are you thinking? What's on your mind? What brought you to that conclusion? No. And I know it sounds very counterintuitive because you're thinking, but that's communication, Tomisin. When he asked me for space, I want to know why. I want to understand why. No. If he chooses to explain to you why, then let him choose to explain to you why. If he chooses to just tell you he wants space and that's it, and he's not ready to explain it to you, you say, okay, I'm granting your wish just like a genie would, exactly as you asked for it. So what I mean by that is when a guy asks you for space, before you say why, before you say what happened, before you say what's the reason that you're doing this, you first say, okay, right? And you grant that wish. Now, I want to make you aware of something. Some guys are going to do this and they're going to think to themselves, well, I'm expecting you to freak out. So then after they ask you for space, they're going to start texting you and messaging you as if they want to continue a conversation. No. Remember, in this case, you are a genie. The genie is only in the spirit of granting wishes. The genie does not sit around and, have conversation with you or analyze the decision or the wish that you asked for. Once you ask for the wish, the genie only pops up to grant that exact wish exactly as you asked for it, and you get no more access to the genie after that. In your favorite TV shows like in Aladdin where they'll say, oh, you get 3 wishes. You get your first wish, granted. Okay, you get your second wish, granted. By the time you get down to that third wish and it gets granted, the genie disappears. Poof. You can't rub the bottle anymore. You can't ask it for any more wishes. You can't go backwards and ask him for a readjustment on anything that you wanted. All you're left with is whatever it is that you wish for. And so you must adopt the same mentality for the men that you're in a relationship with. Once he asks for that space, you do not argue. You don't ask him a whole questionnaire. You don't ask him to explain himself, nothing. You say, I will grant you exactly what you want, and you immediately, poof, disappear. No matter what he says to you after that, no matter whether he tries to explain it to you after that, no need for you to be bothered by anything he says because all you did was grant the wish that he already asked you for, okay? This is a very important first step to the process. Does that make sense to all of you so far? You are a magical genie. You don't lose your mind. You don't go crazy. You don't throw a fit, right? You don't fall apart and start melting. You grant the wish and you disappear, exactly as a genie would. Now, what we want to get into is, what does disappearing really mean? Because we can all say, oh yeah, I'll give this man space. But what I've noticed in helping so many of you, all these hundreds of you, right? Amazing women. What I've noticed is there are very I guess we could say common obstacles that you'll come across when you're trying to give a man space. And see, there's nothing wrong with having emotions and liking a guy, but when you have emotions and you like a guy, what's bound to happen is a lot of you are bound to come up to the same conclusions for the same set of obstacles. So let's kind of break down what I really mean by that, all right? So, number 2 is to plan, okay? Now, there's a very particular reason you have to be planning here. So, you're starting here, and you're taking this journey, and we'll call this end destination, right, space. And the space that we're talking about, because I want you to never forget what we're trying to do here, right? What we're trying to do here is we're trying to give this man space in a way that works for him, that will allow him to come back to you And when he comes back to you, he'll be ready to receive you, ready to communicate with you, ready to talk to you, and ready to be with you. We don't want to give men space, and then the space that we give him doesn't work the right way, and then all of a sudden he wants to break up with us. So it's very important that we do this the right way, but in the process of doing this the right way, you're going to come across some very common obstacles, okay? So what I need for you to do is I need you to be aware of a couple of really major obstacles that you just want to avoid as roadblocks, okay? Because every single one of these things will be like a new roadblock. So I'm gonna draw these out, right? So we'll draw it here, right? Road block. Now, the reason they're roadblocks is because these are things that can trip you up in the process of being his genie that is granting all of these wishes exactly how he asked for, and specifically the wish of getting space in this scenario. One of the mistakes that you're going to come across, or the obstacles, I should say, that you're going to come across is to do things like, we'll say here, you watch stories, okay? Another one that you could have here is his location, right? Another one that you could have here as an obstacle. Let me see what I put down. Yeah, I wanted to make sure I get all of the ones that we all be doing, right? You could be doing things like watching his WhatsApp status. And the reason that I talk about these type of things is because when you give a guy space, you don't want to put yourself in a position where you're going to trip up on one of these very common obstacles that will get in your way of getting to your destination, your point B, of giving him space, okay? Right? Because you're trying to properly grant him that wish, but you don't want any of these roadblocks to get in your way of properly granting him that wish. So what does that really mean? How do they become obstacles? See, when you're watching his story, okay? Stories. When you're watching his story, for example, you'll start looking at what he's doing, where he's going, who he's hanging out with, and you'll start saying to yourself, gee, he usually doesn't go to the club. Why is he going to the club now? Or I see him out at dinner and I see now he's posting 2 plates. Who is he out with? Is he out with one of his boys? Because when I check one of his boys' stories, he's not in the same city as him. So then you start losing your mind and you start thinking to yourself, oh, I was giving you space and I was granting your wish like a genie would, but I need to message you and be sure about where exactly you are right now. And what exactly are you doing right now? Because yeah, I'm giving you space, but that doesn't mean when I give you space, you go out and you do whatever you want. See, that's a mistake. Because when you're a genie and you're granting wishes, you do not put yourself in a position where you're now not giving him what he wants and he has an excuse to say, I feel suffocated by you. Please. Please. I need you to understand this very important point here. The worst thing that can happen when you become a genie, when you start granting his wish of space, the worst thing that can happen is that you don't actually give him that in any capacity. And he has the ability to come back to you and say, I feel suffocated because when I asked you for space, you didn't give it to me. And for whatever reason, I chose not to say anything. I went along with it. And now I'm realizing I don't actually want this relationship. Okay? So let me go through a couple more of these examples and then I'll explain to you how this can manifest itself if you don't plan properly, right? So for example, checking on his location. That can be very similar to watching stories because you're trying to get an understanding of what he does, right? WhatsApp status, right? For whatever app that you like, whatever, website you like to use to connect with your man or see whatever he's doing, whether it be WhatsApp, Snapchat, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, whatever the case may be. Any of these things can become roadblocks. Now, I should add another important roadblock here that could be some of you in the situation that you're in. Because some of you are in a position where you're sharing friends with that guy. And so you can begin to check up on what that guy is doing and what his whereabouts are through friends. But this is a mistake Because once again, if you stumble across this roadblock, it will start enticing you to say, oh, maybe I should reach out. Maybe I should message him just to make sure he's doing the right thing. Maybe I should check up on him to get clarity, right? This is another one of the tricks your mind will play on you. I just want to get some clarity and understanding of what he really wants this space for, or what he's really trying to do here. Because I don't want to waste my time. This is the trick that your mind will play on you. I don't want to waste my time. So if he wants to break up with me, I want him to just tell me he wants to break up with me. So rather than giving him space, I'm going to reach out and see if I can get an answer of whether or not he wants to break up with me. That sounds really healthy. All of these are excuses that stem from the roadblock that I want you to actively be avoiding. Okay? And like I was talking about earlier, this is what will happen, because when you don't avoid these and you do the reaching out, or you do, we're going to get to another little thing that you might do when you're actually trying to give him space. When you do some of these things and you don't end up actually granting the wish that you should be as the genie, what will happen is the guys will tell you, hey, you're suffocating me. This is not what I wanted. I asked you for space. What will also happen in some scenarios is when you choose not to give him space, despite feeling suffocated, he won't actually say anything. He'll just allow the relationship to resume. But the thing about it is, and I wish I could play you guys this clip from the ultimatum because it's such an amazing clip that has everything to do with what we're talking about today, okay? So what will happen is guys will then go along with it because they asked you for space. You didn't give them space, but instead of speaking up for themselves, they just won't say anything. They'll go along with the relationship, but they'll go along with it from the standpoint of this is not really what I want, but I don't want to make you upset. So then as the relationship is going on an ongoing basis, you're thinking to yourself, oh, we're perfectly fine. Everything's good. Everyone's happy. But he's not actually happy. In fact, he feels a little bit suffocated and he feels like he still needs time and space to think about what he wants. But then what happens is down the line, you start to ask him, you're starting to act hot and cold. I'm starting to not understand what you want here. I'm starting to not understand what we're doing here. And then he says to you, well, yeah, of course you won't understand because I don't understand. And I don't know what I want. And I don't know what I'm thinking or feeling. So I can't give you any answers because I don't even know what we are. And I don't know what I want us to be. And then you start asking yourself, so why are we in this relationship this entire time and you're going out on dates with me if you don't even know what you want here? And he says, well, I never had any time to think because when I asked you for space, you didn't give it to me. And just that fast, all of the misfortune of the relationship is turned back to you. And then he gets to say, hey, it's not my fault I'm unaware of what I want. It's not my fault our relationship is in shambles. It's your fault because when I communicated to you I wanted space, you didn't actually give it to me. Okay? And I didn't speak up for myself. I just chose to go along with it. But you should have been the one to actually give me the space that I asked for. Okay? Some people have watched Ultimatum, so you know exactly what I'm talking about. JR, and I know some of you guys don't watch it, but JR and Zaina in the Ultimatum, it's a great show to watch. Maybe we'll break it down here if we can without getting copyrighted. Great show to watch. At the end, I'm not going to spoil everything for you, but at the end when they had the reunion, JR and Zaina were talking about how they rekindled their relationship, and essentially Zaina said exactly what I just described. She said, hey, wait a second. Me and you have been going out on dates this whole time. You came, we celebrated our birthdays together, right? We celebrated Christmas together and all that stuff. And you want to know what JR's response was? Okay. He said, hey, yeah, I only did that because you made me do that, because you pushed for that. And I didn't want to say anything. I didn't want to disappoint you. I just went along with it, but I still need time to process and think about whether or not I even want to be in a relationship with you. And that was a year that they spent doing that, just going back and forth and her being confused and him saying, yeah, I just don't know what I want because I haven't had time to think about it. Because when I asked you for time to think about it, you never gave me that time to think about it. So she ended up looking, like Boo Boo the Fool because she wasted so much time on a guy who was basically telling her it's your fault that we're in this position because you didn't give me a chance to think about what I want. I don't want that for you. I want you to be in the position where when guys ask you for space, you don't make the mistake of reaching out or resuming the relationship because you come across one of these roadblocks. And then down the line, he gets to flip that on you and say, well, yeah, we resumed the relationship, but I was never ready to. You reached out to me. And I felt obligated to answer you about my story. I felt obligated to answer you about my location because I know how you worry. I felt obligated to answer you about your question about my WhatsApp status or your question about what my friend said I was doing. And after I did that, we continued to talk, but I never got a chance to think about what I wanted to think about. And you'll be sitting there like, what the hell is going on? Why would you speak to me then? Okay? So you cannot give men that out. All right? You have to plan and understand that these types of obstacles you will come across. They are roadblocks that must be avoided. So what does that really mean, right? You're not going to be watching stories if watching stories are going to trigger you. You're going to mute him. You're not going to be checking his location if checking his location triggers you. You got to delete his number. Unfortunately, I'm just telling you the truth. If the WhatsApp status is an issue, delete the whole app if you have to. That way it's not even on your phone for you to open up every couple of seconds. All right? If the friends that you know are close friends with him that will be updating you on everything he does, distance yourself from those people for the time being. Even if that means you have to be in isolation for a bit or hang out with a different group of people. We don't want these obstacles for you. And especially we don't want these obstacles to trigger you into not being the genie that we want you to be, which is granting the wishes of him. Okay? Now, I hope that makes sense because it's vitally, vitally important. Now, let's get to another, I guess we can call it a roadblock, but it's another very easy mistake to make in your giving space, I guess we could call it genie era, okay? You're in your genie era, as the kids would say. All right, very, very important. We need to be very clear on this. Okay, so check-ins are such an important part of giving space properly. The reason I say this is because this is such an easy mistake to make, all right? And I love that we're having this conversation on Christmas because it's so perfect for the time that we're in, okay? So let's just have a little bit of an example here. So you have December here, and I'm going to draw a really quick calendar here for all of us, okay? We're not going to make it too complex. Now, just imagine in a calendar, on any given month, you're going to have certain days that are really important, okay? Right? So you might have one here, one here. Oh, December 25th is coming. You got one really important here. You got Christmas, let's say here, right? Merry Christmas. Right? And you have all of these different things that are coming up, right? Throughout the year. And so this is the thing that you can make the mistake of doing. And this is why I love it that we're talking about this on the day after Christmas. Check-ins can become an obstacle for you, getting in the way of you being the genie and granting him the wish of space properly. Because you start thinking to yourself, he asked me for space, yes, Tomisin, and I want to be a mature adult and give him the space he asked for. But this is a really special occasion. It's our anniversary. It's Christmas Day. It's his birthday. It's my birthday. It's his sister's birthday. Okay, birthdays are the worst because they're always happening all times of the year. What will happen is because you like this guy and you don't like being away from this guy and not speaking to this guy, right? You're a human being. It's okay. But what will happen is you'll now convince yourself, oh, yeah. Space is good, but I'll still check in on him to make sure he's good. It's his birthday. I want him to know I care. It's Christmas. I want him to know I care, and I'm gonna make sure he received his present. Okay. It's New Year's. I want to wish him a happy New Year and going into 2025. I'm a healthy person, and I love this man. I want to do that for him and make sure that he's good. Don't. Okay. Look me in my eyes. Don't do it for any reason whatsoever. I don't care what the event is. I don't care if it's Christmas. I don't care if it's New Year's. I don't care if it's his birthday. I don't care if whatever the case may be. You do not, for any reason whatsoever, check in on him on any date if he asks you for space. Why? Because the whole purpose of space is not so that on certain days you won't give him space because those days space doesn't matter, right? The purpose of you granting the wish, remember, we want him to come back to you. We don't ever want him to ask you for space and then immediately after that ask you for more space. Or to feel like, oh, I asked you for space and you didn't give me what I wanted. We don't ever want guys to have that excuse. And I know it sounds very innocent to wish him a Merry Christmas, or to wish him a happy birthday, or to call him on his birthday, or to stop by his place on his birthday because you want to make sure he's all good. Don't do it. You might feel to yourself, but Tomisin, that's so mean. I'm like making him feel like I don't care about him anymore. I'm making him feel like, I don't want to be in this relationship anymore. No, what you're doing is you're granting him the wish exactly as he asked for the wish. That's the thing about wishes. We always ask for a wish thinking we're going to get the absolute perfect end of the stick when it comes to that wish. What we don't realize is even within wishes, you can wish for something and actually bring a lot of bad things into your life in the process of asking for that wish. Okay? So, for example, if I'm a genie and I grant you the wish of having $100 million and being the richest person on earth, now, all of a sudden, when I give you that wish and I grant you being the richest person on earth and having all the money in the world, well, now you have so much more responsibility. And everyone's asking you to do everything for them. Can you solve world hunger? Can you build this? Can you do that? You're so rich. Can you invest in this? Can you do this for me? And now all of a sudden you're being pulled in so many different directions and your money is no longer a resource. It's actually something that irritates you. It's actually something that bothers you. And it's actually something that takes away from your mental health. But you don't realize that in the process of wishing for all that money, you actually wished for some of those problems as well indirectly. So the reason I give you that example is because we want it to be the same thing for the men. When they wish for space, you must give them exactly what they asked for, to the point where they say, oh my God, what I asked for is what I'm receiving. But in the process of receiving that thing, I'm actually a little bit unhappy because I asked for space, but I didn't realize that me asking for space would mean she wouldn't wish me a Merry Christmas. I didn't realize that me asking for space, she wouldn't wish me a happy birthday or get me a present. I didn't realize that me asking for space, I wouldn't be able to see her on New Year's and have her be my New Year's kiss. Now, all of a sudden, I'm thrown off because I thought I could ask for space, but still get the same amount of access to her as I once did. I thought I could ask her for space, but still get some attention from her on the really important days like my birthday or Christmas. No, what he's going to get from you is exactly what he asked for. Both the good, in terms of having all the space and the freedom to do whatever he wants, and the bad, in terms of not having you there to support him, be there for him, wish him a Merry Christmas, solve his loneliness issue, and all that other stuff. But it's a very, very important lesson you must teach men when they ask you for space, that you will grant it exactly as they ask for it. So no check-ins for any reason whatsoever. Now, this is where I want you to be honest with me. Everyone has to be honest in the chat. No one can lie. The guy that you're talking to, right? Tell me, if you're in a situation where you're a little bit confused about this guy or you're in a little bit of a situationship, did you reach out to him while being in a situationship or a confusionship this Christmas? If you're in that scenario or situation, I want to know. Or have you ever done it before, right? Christmas comes or the birthday comes and you reach out despite knowing you guys aren't in regular communication now. Let me know, whether it be this Christmas you did it or a Christmas before that. Have you ever done it? Please be very honest with me. It's very important that we're honest in this chat. Only Yvette said, no, he reached out to me. Good, we're going to discuss that. Yeah, I did this New Year's. Hadn't heard from him for a while. Perfect. I like this. I like this. Someone said no. Another person says yes. I see a lot of yeses. This Christmas, he reached out to me. Okay, I have, but I don't do that anymore, right? Mind you, this is my phone. Okay, wow, okay. On last Christmas, not directly, Natalie says. No, sir, but in the past, unfortunately, right? All right. So this is very good because what I want you to understand, whether you're doing the reaching out and checking in or he's doing the reaching out and checking in, you do not ever allow these check-ins to stop you from granting the wish. Now, let me explain this because I know for some of you, you're thinking, well, Tomisin, if he asks me for space and he reaches out to check in, why can't I respond? Because this is him kind of saying he doesn't want that space anymore. Something very important here. You never give men an out whenever they ask you for space, other than coming back to you in the capacity that you expect him to and addressing the actual issue, which is him asking you for space. So what do I mean by that? When that guy asks you for space and then a week goes by and he wishes you a Merry Christmas, you don't respond to him because that's not addressing the fact that he asked you for space until he specifically tells you, I've had enough time to think about what I needed to think about, and I've had enough space and I want to have a real conversation with you, like a sit down conversation with you or an over the phone conversation with you to discuss my feelings on things. Until he says that to you, you do not respond to anything he has to say. And I know that sounds very mean, but remember, you're granting a very important wish. He didn't wish for space up until Christmas time comes and then to wish you a Merry Christmas. That's not what he wished for. He wished for space in general, to think about whatever he needs to think about, to process whatever he needs to process. And so that's what you're giving him. There's no need for you guys to wish each other a Merry Christmas when he is still processing everything he needs to process. Let him process that. When you finish processing that, and you finish thinking about what you need to think about, then you can come back and you can address the things that you thought about, ready and open for communication so that we can have a conversation, okay? Very important. I know that this makes you feel like a mean person, like especially on Christmas. You know, you're thinking, but Tomisin, I want to be jolly on Christmas. Tomisin, I'm in a good mood on Christmas. Tomisin, I got all my favorite presents on Christmas. Why can't I give some of that energy back to him? You can't, because he asked you for something very specific, and you don't want to put yourself in a position where you're not giving him exactly what he asked for, okay? I'm sorry, relationships are like war. Everyone's fighting for control, and we need you to keep your power, all right? Now, I'm going to address something else here that's very important. Point number 4. Okay, we're going to call point number 4 the reminder. Now, very important reason we're calling it the reminder because there's a very easy mistake to make here when you're doing this, all right? So, you're going to have him here as the man with a large head, hopefully a decent-sized brain as well. And here's the thing. This is a mistake that you can make a lot of times. You like him, and you really want him to want you. Okay, nothing wrong with that. That's what we're here for. You want to learn how to make yourself desirable to more men. But here's the mistake that happens. See, you want him to like you, so you want him to be thinking about you, right? Thinking about your beautiful big head and big brain and large face, okay? And you want him to be thinking about you and desiring you and loving you and wanting to be with you again. So what you end up doing is you end up sending him messages to remind him of your existence. Remind him of the fact he told you he wanted space from you, and the fact that that space now has lasted a week or 2 weeks or however many weeks or days in some of your cases. And so you say this as a way to just jog his memory. Yeah, you asked me for space. I'm just here to remind you that it's actually been exactly 72 hours since you asked me for space. So I want to let you know that I'm always open to talk whenever you want to talk. Whenever you're ready to have a conversation, I'm here for you. Whenever, you need something, I have open arms. Whenever, you get to the point where you think that you want us to get back together again, I'm all ears because I really want to give you your space, but I just want to make sure you know it's a safe space and you can talk to me whenever. Don't do it. Just stop it. Okay? I get it. You're extra accommodating. I get it. You want to remind him that you're open arms and you're ready for communication at all times because that's what you saw on some channel somewhere, okay? In the real world, in the world that we're living in, when you join the Players Club, I'm going to give you the real, not the fake stuff that people will be talking to you like it's a fairy. This ain't no fairy tale, okay? In the real world, you really have to bunker down when it comes to men. And when they ask you for space, this ain't no time to be a positive Polly, where you're reminding him all the time about how you're such open arms for communication. He asks you for space, you give him that. You do not remind him of how long it's been. You do not remind him of the fact that you're all open arms. When he is ready to have a conversation with you, he will take action on that feeling or thought, and he will reach out to you. No need to tell him how long it's been. No need to tell him how many hours it's been. No need to tell him what he already told you. And no need to remind him that you're open arms and ready to communicate, okay? So I'm going to write down here, okay, what actually ends up happening when you do that. And we talked about this a little bit earlier. He has a huge head in this one, right? I won't even draw him with a smile because in this one, he's going to be very angry, okay? He's very angry in this one. And all that ends up happening when you actually do that, he doesn't actually think of you anymore. Your hair looks horrible in this one. You didn't do it right well today, okay? What only ends up happening is he is very, very angry at you. Why is he angry at you? Because when he asked you for something, specifically space from you, he asked you for that space not to try and think of you more. He asked you for that space not for you to suffocate him or remind him that you're open arms and ready to talk to him. The assumption is that whenever he asks for space, when he's ready to talk, he will come to you and talk to you. I know that this sounds very silly, but you have to let men operate off of their own decision, right? Meaning, when a guy asks for something, or he wants something from you, or wants something from the relationship, you need to get good at allowing men the space to take their own action and not trying to control them or force them to take the action that you want them to take. Because two very horrible things will happen. Either he'll take the action that you want him to take, and then down the line he'll say, I didn't do that for me, I did that for you, and that's not what I wanted to do, okay? In which case you'll suffer. Or what will happen is he'll push back against you trying to control him. And then instead of coming back to you, he'll push you farther away and he'll say, no, actually, instead of me just having space from you, I actually want to break up with you. And it will essentially be like a power play to show you that he's not just going to do what you want him to do. I know it sounds very silly and very childish, but this does happen with men. And if I'm going to talk to you about men, I have to be honest with you. So whenever he asks you for space, you can't be a positive Polly, continuously reminding him of how you're open arms, ready to have conversation, ready to be mature and communicative. Great, we get it. And I know that you are that. Just be that. Okay? Just be that. Just be there for him when he does want to have this conversation and be honest with you about what he's feeling and return back to you. Then you can be all of those things. But you don't need, in the process of actually giving him the space, to remind him that you are all of those things, to remind him how ready you are for communication and conversation. It's so important. You need men to come to their own decision and come back to you from a standpoint of, I did this because I wanted to, because I felt it was necessary for us to have this conversation. You will get a way better version of him, a way more receptive version of him, and a way more accountable version of him when you do that. Because they can't do this. They can't do this one horrible thing, which is look back on the situation and twist it to make it seem like you twisted his arm to have a conversation or to end this space. And when he can't look back on a conversation, or he can't look back on the situation and make it seem as if you forced him to have this conversation, well, then he has to be accountable to his actions. Because how is he going to say, oh, I just went along with it, when he was the one that chose to reach out to you after you giving him space? How can he say that you twisted his arm and made him do this thing when he's the one that came to you and said, I'm ready to have a conversation? It doesn't make a lot of sense that way. And so you need to set yourself up for success by not allowing him to be in a position where he can twist it after the fact and say, oh, I wasn't ready. You made me start talking to you again. You put me in a position where I had no choice. I felt bad. I didn't want to disappoint you. Whatever the case may be, or whatever the excuse may be that he gives. Does that make sense to all of you? Beautiful people so far. Okay? Very, very important. Please. I beg you. Don't do this. Don't do this. Don't remind men. I know you're a positive poly. I know you have lots of love to give, and I want you to give that love. But there's a time and a place for everything, including being a positive poly and including being the most healthy, communicative person of all time. Okay? And that time is not when a guy tells you that he wants some space from you, unfortunately. Okay? Now, let's break this down a little bit more. I have a few more points for you guys that are really, really important, okay? So, we talked about reminders and check-ins. Now, we're going to get to very close to the end goal here, and eventually how things are going to return to their homeostasis, their normal, okay? So, number 5 here, okay? And this is going to be another little version of an obstacle. Okay. Now, in point number 5 here, you're going to cover all bases. Okay? What do I really mean by cover all bases? See, when you think about the reasons you might reach out to a guy, it's really, you might think to yourself, oh, I'll just reach out to him only if I want to talk, right? And so you might think that this is the only reason I'd really reach out to him. But you don't realize, if you're not very forward thinking, that there are other reasons you might be inclined to reach out to him. And when I say cover all your bases, this is what I mean by that. You have to understand that at no point in the process of you giving him space can you ask him any questions or for any advice or for any help or support. I know this sounds horrible, but you're defeating the purpose of giving him space. So what are some of the things that might consist of help or support? That means money, okay? You're not gonna ask him for any money. Whether you're in a jam, whether you're in a very horrible situation, whether he's been paying your rent, you don't ask him for money when he asks you for space, okay? What's the other thing that you're not gonna ask him for? You're not gonna ask him for help in any capacity, okay? That could be help with your SATs, help with your exams, help to help you study, help to pick you up somewhere, help to drop you off somewhere, help to pay for your Uber, okay? Right? The other thing you're not gonna ask him for, and I know this sounds very horrible, Chad, I know it does. You're not gonna ask him for support, whether it be support in your family, your friends, your whatever it is, okay? See, you guys are getting the idea now. Someone even else said, right? You're not gonna ask for help in your business, or whether it be here, we can also add for work, for some of you who don't own a business, right? Any capacity, you will not ask him for anything. The reason I'm making this a point And the reason I'm saying cover all your bases is because we need to start getting you. And I know this is going to sound horrible, but when guys ask you for space, you're immediately going to have to pull back that energy and you're going to kind of have to detach yourself. But the problem is you can't properly detach yourself if you're still relying on him for some things here. Because what will happen, like we talked about with the check-ins and the reminders, is this will happen where you'll ask him for money or support. He'll come to your aid. He'll be there for you. And then afterwards, you guys will continue the relationship like normal and not really address anything. He'll come back around years or months later and he'll say, oh, the only reason we started talking again was because you asked me for money. Was because you asked me to support you through your sad times. Was because you asked me to help you with your work or your business. But I wasn't actually ready to come back into this relationship. I didn't actually get a chance to think of what I wanted, think if I wanted to be with you, but I didn't want to abandon you. I didn't want to not be there for you. I didn't want to not support you or help you through those tough times. So what I chose to do instead is to capitulate, answer you, talk to you, help you with your money problem, help you with your family problem, help you with your business or work problem, fix your flat tire, whatever the case may be, but I never ever agreed to wanting to be in this relationship again. It hurts. Because then you'll be really scratching your head. You'll be like, why did you not tell me this before? Why did you not say anything? I thought we were good. Why would you wait so long to tell me you're still not sure? We've spent years here together, or months, whatever the case may be. And I know how frustrating that can be to be in that place. And I don't want you to be in that place, which is why I don't even want you bothering to ask for any of these things, help, money, support in any capacity. Any capacity. And I know this is going to be tough on you, especially if you've been relying on him for a lot, okay? Which is why I always say, it's not that you never want to trust any man, but you always want to have enough for you to support you. That you can be you no matter what you got going on in life. That any man who's just calling himself your boyfriend especially can never take away something from you, take away support or help, and you feel like you can't survive without him. Because when he asks you for space, think about this logic. If a man you're relying on for money, to the point where you have no way of paying for anything or doing anything for yourself, asks you for space, do you honestly think you're going to be able to give a man space when you're relying on him to pay your rent? No. Do you honestly think you're going to be able to rely on a man for space, actually give a man space when you're relying on him to pay your car note? No. So the reason I say that is not because you shouldn't rely on men ever or trust them ever. But you want to make sure that this isn't a situation that can easily spiral out of control, because when a guy asks you for space and then you're still asking him all of these for all of this support and all of this help because you actually need it, well, now you're putting yourself in a horrible position for him to turn around and say he didn't actually want to end the space and he didn't actually get a chance to think for himself what he wanted or who he wants to be with or if he even wants to be with you. Okay? Men, when they are with you and in a relationship with you, it should be because they chose to be in a relationship with you. That is the only way I want you ever to have a relationship with a man. For him choosing you, approaching you, and asking you out and asking you to be his girlfriend. That is the easiest and most efficient way to avoid all of this confusion where you're thinking to himself, I'm unsure why he's not doing this. I'm unsure why he's not taking action. I'm unsure why he's not showing me he likes me. I'm unsure why he's not being consistent with me, because you need to allow men to choose you. You have to. And when he asks you for space, you need to give him enough space that he can think to himself, I do want to choose her, and actually do that. Okay? Does that make a lot of sense? Let's hop into point number 6, because we talked all about these different issues that can arise. Now let's really address the most important part here, which is going to be when everything that we have planned and done actually works well, because it isn't just the space here. Eventually you want the space to no longer be space. So what do you actually do when the space is supposed to end? So you finally get to this place here of what we call the comeback, where now he is returning from taking his space from you. Now, I'm going to draw something that's not going to look very good, but it's okay. I'm not an artist. I just talk to you about men. All right? So, oh boy, this is bad, boy. Okay. We have here what we're going to describe as a train. Not that type of train, the train that moves on a station. Okay? So, this is a train. This is your train. I should even add this, right? It's yours. This is your train, and your train is moving in this direction here, right? It's moving in a forward direction. So this train that you have going on is constantly moving forward to your destination of success, right? The best version of yourself, right? So we'll just put it up here, the BV, the best version of you. That's the destination that this train is heading towards. Now, very important. What you want to happen during this comeback where he finally says, okay, I asked you for space. You are an amazing genie and you granted my wish exactly as I asked for it. Now that you've granted this wish exactly as I've asked for it, I am ready to hop back onto your train, okay? So he's going to be over here. And eventually, when he finishes taking all the space that he needs away from you, your train is still going to be moving in your positive and forward direction towards the best version of yourself, okay? And at some point when he asks to come back into your life, or he wants to, he will say, I want to get back onto this train and join you on your path forward to going to the best version of yourself. So why do I give this example? Because what you want to happen, if you're going to do this right, and do this in a way where you want to see success, meaning he wants to be with you again, and he has no questions about that in his own mind. You have to do all of those steps correctly. And by the time he says, okay, I'm ready to be with you. I've thought about what I need to think about. I know that I'm ready for you, and I know that I'm ready for this relationship and to move ourselves forward. All you need to say at that point is okay. I know that sounds very lack of communication. And I know that sounds very, oh, well, Tomisin, we should talk about this 80 million times, and he should tell me what he was doing during all of those times and all the things that he thought about. No. When a man chooses you, right, you don't question it. You just say, oh, okay. Now, after you say okay, you can ask him, so tell me, what did you learn during that time? What made you grow in your understanding that you wanted to choose me? Those are the questions you can ask, right? You can ask, so what made you choose me? What did you experience? What did you think about? What changed in your understanding that made you choose me? That's after the okay. And then as he tells you what his experience was, and he tells you what changed his mind or what he saw or whatever, what realization he came to you, you just say, oh, I understand you now. And then your train continues moving, but now he has actually chosen to be here. But the reason this is how you want the comeback to work is because you want him to make his own choice to be here with you. Your train is still moving. Now that he's made his own choice to be here with you, you remember how I talked about down the line, guys can say, oh, I didn't want to do this and all that other stuff. Now you've built in an accountability clause into this relationship that you have with him. You want to know how you did that? Because when he makes a choice to join you back on your already forward moving train of his own volition, not because you forced him to, not because you held his hand or you twisted his arm, because he chose to be with you here on this train. And down the line, let's say, you guys were in this romantic relationship and you tell him some things that he's not doing well. And he tells you, well, I don't want to change, right? It's not going to make a lot of sense because him not wanting to change or adjust his behavior or apologize for behavior or compromise with you doesn't make sense if he's the one that chose you. So when you hold him accountable or you tell him some ways in which he's falling short, he chose to be here. So if he's going to choose to be here, he might as well choose to make adjustments if those are needed in the relationship. Because what he can't do when he chose to be here is turn around and say, well, I don't want to change anyways because I didn't want to be here anyways. And that's the thing that a lot of guys will do when they ask you for space, but you don't give it to them the right way. Down the line, they'll tell you, well, I didn't even want to be here, or I didn't even make a choice to be here. It was your choice. I did this for you. They'll turn it around. They're very sneaky. I was in this relationship for you. I didn't want to disappoint you. I didn't know how to tell you. And then you're between a rock and a hard place. You want men to choose you so that they can never turn around and say, I only did this for you. I only returned to this relationship for you. No, no, no. You returned to this relationship for yourself because you wanted me. And if you want me, there are certain standards and expectations that you have to live up to in order to be with me. If that doesn't work for you, then go ahead and choose to be with someone else. But if you're making a choice to be here with me, those are the standards and the expectations that I have of anyone. So if that doesn't work for you, then that doesn't work for you. But if you want to be here, you're going to live up to those standards and expectations. That's how it has to be. In order for you to see the results you want, get the treatment you want, and have the level of accountability that you want in your relationship with your men. Does that make sense to all of you so far? Now, you guys have any questions about the 6 that we just discussed here today? I want to make sure, as much as possible, I try to answer all of your questions here in this live stream on this December 26th, okay? Gut says, I see the full picture now. I'm glad you do. I'm very glad you do, okay? Let's hop into some of our donations here and our super chats, and I can answer some questions for you guys. Nicole Cottom donates $5. She says, thank you for talking about this, Tomisin. I got stuck in the special day cycle, not when he asked for space, but when I was ready to break up. See, some of this can also apply to a breakup, right? When you're constantly doing the checking in, or this is a special day. It's his birthday. It's my birthday. It's everyone's birthday. We have a twin birthday. It's too much. When you take space from a man, or when the relationship is ended, right, or fizzled out, you completely let it go. No need to continue reaching out until he chooses to reach out to you, maybe because he wants to have a conversation with you, or maybe he wants to get back together with you. Then you allow him to make that choice for himself. But no reason to just be casually reaching out to each other. Oh, happy birthday. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you. Happy New Year's. Hope you have a great December. Stop. Just stop. Just stop. It's pointless. Kayla donates $10 in the YouTube chat. Thank you for the donation. She says, thank you so much for this information. Thank you, Kayla, for the $10 donation, and all of you who donate and participate in the show. It's so good to have you here, okay? By the way, for those of you who are in a situation that may be either similar to this or slightly different or more complex, you can always ask me a personal question, even if you don't get a chance to get your questions answered in the show or on our Discord, which is coming up. You can always ask me a personal question. That link, it's like a hotline that you can always ask me 24/7. That hotline is available in my link in my bio on TikTok or the link in my description. You can type out a question, send it in to me, and I will respond to you with a voice message, and I'll send it back to your email. No one else will see it. So that's like a hotline 24/7 for you to ask me any question about your relationship or situationship that you want, and I'll be getting back to all of you. I'm trying my best to make it quicker since it's holiday season and I'm getting a lot of questions. So I will be answering questions on my personal and private channel after this as well. So I'm trying to keep up with those as well. All right? Does that make sense? No says, at one point is asking for space a cowardly ghost breakup. See, okay, here's the thing. In some scenarios, right, when a guy asks you for space, he may never actually come back to you in a capacity where he's saying, okay, now I'm ready to be back in this relationship with you, okay? And if that's the case, then you just never speak to him again. I know that sounds very strange and very harsh, but if a guy doesn't choose to be on this train with you ever, then that's perfectly understandable, and that should be a clear signal to you of what he wants, which is not you and not to be in this relationship. That's okay. You don't need to question him on that. You don't need to ask him, how he came to that conclusion. You just accept that as the truth and accept that if he really wanted to be on this train with you, he would have made that choice to be on this train with you. Does that make sense? Okay. Someone said, don't let a man waste your time. Precisely. You don't let a man waste your time. I seen someone else ask a little bit earlier, what if you guys share children? The same thing applies, except obviously, you have to take care of your children. You have to organize dropping them off and picking them up and things like that if both of you have custody over the children or see the children. Now, the thing that you would do in that scenario, the only difference is you would have a clear conversation with him that you will give him space and nothing that doesn't relate to your children, you guys will be discussing. So anytime he reaches out to you for anything other than something directly related to your children, you don't answer him. If he has a question about your children or how you guys are organizing, parenting them, sure, then you answer. Anything outside of that, you don't answer. And that needs to be clear, okay? So that you guys are both on the same understanding about that. But what I will warn you is that becomes messy because some men will use the children as a way to keep control over you. So I'll just be honest with you about that. Lumen says, the excuse didn't work with me. I told him you're an adult and you asked me to be exclusive. And you asked me to be exclusive and be your girlfriend. He then got quiet because he knew that was true, okay? I understand that in some cases when men ask for space, it will seem like, well, that doesn't even make any sense. But if they ask you for space, you always have to grant it first. Let them think to themselves how little this makes sense on their own. Because when they think about it on their own, then they come back to you and they say, actually, that made no sense. It's a much better situation for you and him. Because then he can feel like, no, this is the best decision for me. And I know that because I came to my own conclusion on that. I'm not saying that you're wrong for pointing out why a guy is wrong in asking you for space. But whenever he asks, the first thing you want to be thinking is granting it. Not questioning him or telling him why it makes no sense. Because then they start to resent you or tell you that that's not even their decision after a while. It's very strange. Right? Great Fortune Cookie asks a great question. She says, how long should the space be before we assume it's over and just move on? Well, this can actually depend on what your relationship is with that guy. So what I mean by that is if a guy, let's say a really crazy situation happens with you and your husband, right? I'll just make it extreme. And your husband asks you for space. If a really crazy situation has happened with you and your husband enough for him to be asking you for space or there to be a lot of confusion here, that might consist of maybe he doesn't talk to you for a week, right? But depending on your relationship, right? For example, a guy who you just started dating a couple of weeks ago says, yeah, I need some space from you. After a couple of days or so, or a week or so, that might be a situation where you just say, yeah, we're not going to be talking anymore because I just started dating you. But if your husband takes a week of space from you, it's not like he's just going to stop being your husband. Do you see how that works? So it also kind of depends on the relationship that you have with that person, right? Someone you just started dating who stops talking to you for 1 to 2 weeks, you're probably just going to say, I'm just moving on now, and this is just a waste of my time. But someone who you've been dating for 5 years, it's not just going to be, oh, we stopped talking for a week and I'm never going to speak to you again. So that's a little bit of a case-by-case basis to answer that question, okay? Does that make sense? Lola says, that's what I mean. He came back after I ignored him. I was fed up saying he missed me. I was fed up of him saying he missed me, but he just said he was sorry, acting like the victim, okay? Yeah, if guys are ever gonna do a thing where they'll tell you they need space, and then they'll continue just trying to have random conversations, oh, I miss you, oh, how you been, or they're doing their own version of checking in, like I say, the comeback should consist of him saying, okay, I don't want space anymore. I want us to have a conversation and I want us to address the reason that I even wanted space so that we can have a conversation about it. He should be the one to bring that up. If he doesn't, there's no need for you to even address him because then instead of the situation properly getting addressed and him making a decision to be back on this train with you, he might say, oh, well, we were just having conversation about Christmas, but I didn't think that meant we were actually good. Okay. So the reason I say that, you want to be very clear that the reason he's now talking to you or back in your life is because he's saying, I don't want space. I know I don't want space. I've thought about what I needed to think about, and I've came to my own realizations. So the same way he asked for space, when he finally comes back, there needs to be an addressing of, for him, right, of his own volition, of his own mind, of his own realizations of why he needed the space and what realizations he's came to now that he no longer needs the space. That needs to be a very clear and concise conversation. Otherwise, there can be a lot of confusion, and then down the line, everyone will still be confused. Right? LP says, what if the space makes him realize that he wants to break up? Perfect. That is perfect. It's perfect because now, when you have no influence on him, he has made his own choice based on his own realizations, based on his own wants and desires. And think about this. See, sometimes you guys think, oh, being in relationships is the be all and end all of my life. So anytime I'm not in a relationship, it's a bad thing. Think about this from this standpoint. If a guy asks you for space and he says, I've thought about everything, thought about what I wanted, and came to a realization that this is not the relationship I want and I want us to break up, that's good for you because now you can be clear. You can have clarity. Because probably one of the reasons you guys needed the space in the first place, or he asked for it, is because your relationship probably became a very jumbled up mess of misunderstanding and miscommunication. So when he finally comes to you and just tells you actually what he wants and the direction he wants to move in, even if that direction is, I don't want to be in a relationship anymore, that's actually great for you because now you can be free of confusion. The worst thing you can go through in any dating or talking stage, right, or in any relationship is confusion, especially for you as a woman, because the men are the ones supposed to be providing you with clarity. Trust me, it's much more frustrating to be dating a man for 1 year and to be in a hot and cold relationship where you're not really sure what you guys are doing or where you guys stand. Rather than just going through the pain, it's like ripping a Band-Aid off. You go through the pain once, he tells you, you know what, I thought about this and I don't want to be in a relationship anymore. Yeah, it's painful at the beginning, but at least you get clarity and you don't have to question yourself, your own thoughts, feel crazy, gaslight your own self, you know what I mean? And just feel like you're melting because of all of the confusion, right? Clarity is so much more freeing, relaxing, and better for your soul and your spirit. Whether that clarity is that he wants you or that clarity is that he's realized he doesn't want you or this relationship, that clarity is still always going to be good. Strive in everything that you do in your relationships to always have more and more clarity from men. The more clarity you have, whether it be that he really wants you or he really doesn't want you, is always better. Okay? The worst you'll feel and the most horrible you'll feel is when you're confused. That is the worst for you. Clarity is good, whether it's painful at first or whether it's peaceful because he tells you how much he wants you. Clarity is always better than confusion. All right? Let's hop into our next segment of the show. Our next segment is going to be our React segment. Our React segment is where all of you send me in TikTok videos from around the world and the universe about relationships and love and life, and we react to them and have conversation with them on the show. I also want to mention for those of you who want to get advice from me, that want me to give you advice live on the show, we're going to do our Discord relationship advice section at the end of the show. So make sure you start typing away and sending in your Discord questions to me in our Discord forum in our Discord now. So that when I get to at the end of the show, I can answer them for you, okay? So that link is in my bio on TikTok or in my description. Go to the Discord and go to the relationship advice forum and drop in your question for the end of the show. While I clean up, we're going to watch a little bit of an intermission video. Today's intermission video comes from Matt Boggs. I'll be back with you guys momentarily as I clean up and prepare for our React segment. And Matt Boggs will talk to you guys about red flags. He's an emotionally immature man. I'll be back in a moment.
We're looking at signs that are indicators early on that someone really isn't emotionally mature enough to create the partnership, the depth of the partnership that you are really looking for. Because the faster you can spot these signs, the more pain you can save yourself and him later on. Ultimately, what you're really looking for is someone who's aligned with you mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And it's not just emotionally, but they've got the emotional strength, the emotional depth to be able to partner with you in life. And that's not something that you can get by reading a book. Just like you can't get in shape by reading a book about gym exercises. Emotional strength actually comes from doing the work, cultivating that depth of strength and emotional maturity inside. And so I'm going to share with you 3 signs right now. The first sign is he is quick to blame others. You see, someone who's emotionally immature lives from a state of being where they place their point of power outside themselves. In other words, they interpret life as happening to them. It's never their fault. It's always somebody else's fault. The traffic's fault, a family member's fault, their roommate's fault, their boss's fault. Always, if something bad is happening, it's because something else outside of themselves is afflicting them. That is a classic victim mentality. So notice this. Notice when you're dating a guy and something doesn't go right. Something like the food is late, or the food is wrong, or traffic is bad, or something is going wrong. What is their knee-jerk reaction? Because that's really what you're looking for here. Are they quick to blame other people? You see, it's easy to appear emotionally mature and conscious and spiritual, all these things when everything's going great. It's easy to come from gratitude when you're having wins and things are abundant and prosperous and you're healthy. The question becomes when you're facing a diagnosis, or someone you love is facing a diagnosis, or you lose someone, or life happens, like you're experiencing something traumatic, or just experiencing something irritating, right? Like traffic. How does that person respond in those moments? Let me give you an example of this. A client of mine set up a date with this guy. He actually asked her out on a Monday and said, hey, let's get together at this time at this restaurant on Friday afternoon. We'll grab some lunch. And she was like, great. And they talked on the phone just a couple of times. And then, so he makes the plan Monday. All week, he doesn't reach out to her. He doesn't call her. He doesn't text her. She's not hearing from him. And so on Friday, she texts him and says, hey, are we still on for Saturday? She doesn't hear back. So she doesn't show up. Saturday comes, the date, the time comes. She doesn't show up. She's like, oh, clearly this guy isn't going to show up. He texts her so mad because he showed up to the restaurant at the time that they had originally agreed upon. And his whole text was like, where are you? I can't believe you're standing me up. I can't believe this. I can't believe that. And she's like, hey, listen, I texted you yesterday and I didn't hear from you. You didn't talk to me all week. Why? I'm not supposed to just show up if someone's not confirming that we're actually going to be there. So their rules for communication were different, right? This isn't placing blame that his rules were wrong or her rules were wrong. But what's fascinating is she was willing to take responsibility and saying, hey, look, I didn't show up, yes, and I had agreed, and you didn't communicate with me. We both have a role in this. And he was full on in blame mode. I can't believe you. How would you do this to me? This is so rude. Instead of owning like, yeah, maybe I could have sent you some communication. Maybe I could have responded to your text. So it's actually a good thing that she didn't show up on that date, because I think she saved herself a whole lot of time burned with a guy that she wouldn't end up with anyway, because he didn't have the level of emotional maturity to be a true partner with her. Because here's the deal, the emotionally mature guy is going to own his part. He's not going to be quick to just blame other people. He's going to own whatever part he has in co-creating that circumstance and look for ways to actually make it better. The second thing that an emotionally immature person tends to do is they let circumstances control their mood. They let outside.
Okay, chat. Perfect. Thank you so much, Matt Box. You are such an amazing creator, and we love having you on the show. We're going to start off with our next segment here, our React segment, and this video here.
Pictures of your ex. Here's the answer. I had a guy on my live ask me if he should delete pictures of his ex from his phone. The answer is yes. Absolutely delete everything. You have to completely move on after you've ended a relationship. The main reason you're having a hard time is because you're not letting go of the previous life you had with that person. It might be hard, but you're delaying the inevitable and slowly hurting yourself instead of ripping off the band-aid. Once you do this, you'll be able to get back to your goals and improve yourself for next time. Should you delete pictures?
Oh,
Should you delete?
I have a question for you, chat. Do you and have you deleted pictures of your most recent ex off of your social media profiles? Tell me in the chat now.
Should you delete pictures?
I want you all to be honest with me, okay? Don't lie. Tell me the truth. Have you deleted pictures of you and your ex on your social media profiles, or are they still up on your social media profiles, okay? I see some people saying, yes. Lumen said, I never put them there. Put them on a USB, okay? Melita says, yes, absolutely. Not in the camera roll. Never posted them in the first place. Not even in the camera roll. deleted ASAP, deleted off the phone. I made a whole new page. Someone said, okay. So the reason I asked that question is because I personally think, see, physical will always kind of mirror the emotional. If you have pictures of an ex still up on your page, it's signifying not only for yourself that you're not actually moving forward from that relationship, but you're also signifying to other people and other maybe potential partners that you're not moving forward from that relationship. And rest assured, anyone that you might come across, maybe you might start dating a guy that tells you, oh, that was a point in my life and I don't want to be dishonest about that. So I don't want to just delete the photos as if they don't exist or anything like that. Anyone that tries to convince you of that, just run away from them, because that really translates to I'm not actually moving forward from that relationship. And there's still a special place in my heart for that person. It's not that you have to become completely cold and disinterested in that person simply because you're not in a relationship with them, but there's a respect you have for your future partners that, hey, my focus and my energy is on you, both mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and physically, that no one else, not you, not me, not anyone around us, will question my devotion to you and the fact that my end goal and my ultimate peak and my point is you and being with you, not being with anyone else, not being with an ex, not being with this person or that person. It's being with you. Now, that doesn't mean you don't talk about the ex or have conversation, but still my goal is being with you, not being with them. I hope so. That should be the agreed upon concept and idea there.
The girl you have to worry about is not the girl that he's following. It's the girl that he's blocked. Because they still have each other's number. The number's not blocked. Why do you think he has that girl blocked? It's because he loved her so much. I'm sorry to do this, I really am. But he loved her so much that he couldn't tolerate seeing her pictures. Had to block her. Instagram is not the be-all end-all. And I hate to say that, because a lot of you think it is. I mean, if you really think about it, that could be the girl that messed up his perception of love. And maybe he has a deep longing for her. And maybe he's a fix-it guy. And he does secretly want her, like deep down. Like he wants to go back to her and fix it. When it really comes down to it, it's cool to like try to figure it out. Like, oh, is this guy like talking to other girls? Is he doing that thing? He's either going to do it or he's not. You know, same thing with girls. Like, you're either going to cheat or you're not. You don't have control over that. Just let that shit go. The girl you have to...
That little last part, I agree with. You ain't going to be able to control what someone else does or doesn't do. And the answer will come to you one way or another. Trust me, the universe will serve you those answers. But aside from that, I do agree with this. Now, very important caveat here. He's talking about the number being blocked. He's not talking about blocking you social media. The reason I say that is because, and tell me, chat, if this has happened to you, sometimes a guy will hit you up on DM. Oh, you post a picture of yourself in some tight pair of jeans. He might respond to you with hard eyes and say, "What's up with you, mama? How you doing? You look good." And then when you don't respond to him, or you don't respond to him in the way that he wants you to respond to him, he'll say, "Oh, you ugly anyways. It's not even like I wanted to talk to you. You think you all that." And then he'll block you on Instagram or whatever the case may be. Tell me in the chat if that's ever happened to you or something like that's ever happened to you. The reason I say that is because you want to make sure that when you're thinking about, oh, is this girl really important or does she really matter? You have to know it's the blocking of the phone number, not just the blocking on social media in general, because guys will hit up girls that they don't know and have never really spoken to. And then if they don't get the response they want, they'll block that girl. It's a very stupid, very silly game. But guys do that, okay? They might even send you a deep pic, okay? And then block you after that, after they send it to you and you don't respond well to that. It's a very strange world we live in. But yeah, what he's discussing there is the number. And it's true. If he's blocked her number, there's definitely a lot of hurt and pain associated with that woman specifically, that he just can't even be bothered to see her message. And also maybe he wants to avoid having to be in a position where he's choosing whether or not to respond to her message, because that can also be a painful choice as well if you have a really special place in your heart for that woman, because when they do reach out to you, it's going to be very hard to actually say no and stand up for yourself. So it's better to just not see it in general. I'm just letting you in on a little bit of guy thought process there.
Oh, do you want to hear another absolutely disgusting secret about men that they definitely do not want you to know? And as usual, this is an absolutely foolproof method, so please pay attention and do not tell anybody that I told you. If you are currently going through a breakup or have ever been through a breakup with a man, I can tell you what his words and actions mean right after the breakup and how that tells you how he actually felt about you. For example, if you guys break up and he says something to you like, I think we should still be friends, or he tries to keep the physical side of the relationship going, this man never
BS.
loved you the way you actually think he did. If he is incapable of being friends with you, incapable of talking to you, has to block you on all platforms, has to keep no contact, then the man actually loved you. Because there is
Facts. Facts! I don't know why I'm so passionate. That's facts.
no man in the history of men who actually has the strength to stay friends with somebody they actually loved the way they said they did.
It makes no sense to even be able to do that. Facts. It's facts. Because this whole... So when a guy who was once dating you then asks you to be friends, and he's actually able to do that, he's downgrading you. Because imagine, you went from being a girlfriend who got loyalty, got respect, he claimed you, he showed you off to people, he didn't sleep with other women. Now you're friends, he still gets some physical access to you, even if it's not all the time or exactly the same. But now he gets to go out in his own life and do whatever he wants when you're not around. Who actually is winning there? It's definitely not you. And also, when men have an emotional attachment to you, it's very painful for them to see you moving forward and living your life, especially being with other people. So the idea that he would be okay with just being friends with you and watching you actually build new connections with other people, that's a clear sign that he doesn't actually care as much about you as you're imagining he would. Because the pain associated with breaking up with a girl who you really wanted to be with is not something you'll be able to just stomach and continue on the relationship as if nothing ever happened, if that makes any sense. But I do think that's very, very much facts here. Okay, we don't want to get copyrighted, so let's see what this says without the music. Next time he texts you, answer him this, okay? Sorry, bro, she is in the shower right now, but I'll let her know you messaged. Chat, I know the show is called The Players Club, but I'm never going to advise you guys to do any sort of pointless, toxic back and forth activity. I want you to, if you are doing toxic manipulation, I want you to do it in ways that serve you. Just doing something to just piss someone off that you're never even going to be in a relationship with because she's talking about how to piss off your ex. What's the point? For him to message you mad? Why? You're not going to be with him. You don't plan to, and he's an ex for a reason. Move forward with your life. Don't try to be playing stupid games with people who you don't even plan to build a relationship with. It's pointless.
Dating billionaires. There's a clip of me on Danielle Robey's Pretty Smart podcast going viral right now where I basically say that I would not date a billionaire. To give a little bit of context, she asked me this a couple months ago now at this point. I think it was around the time that my video about my dating standards went viral where I basically just said, I like to date at my level, not below. And I think a lot of people were wondering like, oh, well, what does she think about above? And so she asked me, would I date a billionaire, to get an answer to that effect. One, the ethics of like being a billionaire, that's already a questionable thing. Like there's a lot to be unpacked there, but specifically in the context of what we were talking about in that dating video, I like the lifestyle I can provide myself. Like there's no man that I think is smarter or more talented or anything than me and can like, it's impossible for me to give myself this life, like I have to rely on him for it. And as someone who has dated guys who are millionaires, I don't mean like, oh, their net worth is like 2 million. I mean, they own multiple homes that are worth millions and millions of dollars and also make 7 figures a year and like have lots of money invested, whatever. The greatest comfortability I felt in dating is just when I can give myself every single thing that that man can give me, and also more often than not, I have and can give myself more than what the man has or can give me. And while a lot of the comments seem to understand what I was saying in that video because it wasn't fucking rocket science, I was simply telling girls, have your own shit, don't rely on a man for things, and you'll be Gucci. Do what you want, right? There were so many comments like, no, well, a broke man would do the same thing. Like a broke man will also like treat you bad and da-da-da-da. They'll even treat you worse than a rich guy, as if the people commenting this have been dating billionaires. There are less than 3,000 in the world. And I haven't dated billionaires either, but it's clear that the girls who are commenting this or the people who are commenting this haven't even dated the guys that have the amount of money that the men I've dated have, because no one who has would ever tell you, no, you should not have your own money. Like, this is such a stupid take. Like, what the fuck is stupid about telling women to have their own shit when you're dating? There's no harm in that. Even if the guy does everything for you, if you still have shit that you can fall back on, why not? But anyways, I first thought it was interesting that we went from guy being a billionaire to then, oh, well, she must be talking about broke guys and thinking that broke guys treat you better, as if there's nothing in between a billionaire and a man being broke. What? But then two, again, the point I was making in the video was very explicitly stated and it wasn't fucking hard to understand. I'm talking about a man holding money over your head, knowing that you cannot do the things that he can do for you, or if you have given him full control and you don't make any money for yourself, whatever, you can't even buy yourself a fucking tampon without him. That's what I'm talking about. A broke man cannot hold that over you because he doesn't fucking have money. Like a broke man.
Exactly. So what it translates to, I'm going to try and aid her in the explanation, is leverage. When you date a man and he does absolutely everything for you and you're not even able to sustain yourself without him in your life, it's great that he will be that generous and love to do things for you and love to support you and all that good stuff. But what happens if one day he chooses not to support you? What happens if the guy who was paying for your rent, paying for your car, paying for everything that was basically you were relying on to live life? What happens if one day he wakes up and he says, yeah, you know, I was thinking about doing a thing where I have multiple wives. I was thinking about doing a thing where I have a girlfriend in every single city that I go to. I was thinking about doing a thing where instead of you being my main girl, you're actually my 15th girl. How do you feel about that? Well, you don't really have a choice because if you like living in your apartment, you'll agree to that. So you realize very quickly on and early on when you actually start experiencing this, that yeah, money is great and dating men with money is great, but you don't allow money to control you, manipulate you, or put you in a position where you have no leverage. Because a guy flashing money in front of your face or buying you gifts and purses should not be a way to control you or to get away with things that you wouldn't regularly allow men to get away with. Okay, because your boundaries should be your boundaries regardless of whether a man is rich or whether he has no money. And the thing about it is, even rich men understand that a lot of women are willing to bend on their boundaries when a man has money. So they approach you from that standpoint. So you do have to be willing to stand up for yourself if you actually want respect, because if you don't, you'll just fall into the same category as all the other women who allow their boundaries to get bent when a man flashes money in front of them. But then all of those men just take advantage of all of those women.
People who got approached the most at clubs had the biggest signal of availability. So they weren't the most attractive men and women. She did this for both men and women. In fact, the most attractive women in the room, if they had closed off body language, they were not approached, they did not get dates, they did not get out their number. It was the men and women who signaled, I'm available.
How do you signal I'm available?
Okay, so this is really important for dating in the sense of wanting to be approached. Dating one-to-one is a little bit different, right? You don't need to signal this if you're one-to-one. But if you're in a big room or you're speed networking, one is open body, no blocking. I never want anything in front of your torso. I don't want this. I don't want arms crossed. I don't want cup in front of you. I don't want you clutching your computer or your iPad or your phone. I want you to make sure that your torso is open and angled out towards the room. I like croissant feet. You know, parallel feet are like what we're doing right now. Yeah. In a dating situation, I want you to have croissant feet, which is your feet are angled toward the biggest part of the room, saying, I'm open, come and approach me.
Okay.
That signals to both men and women, oh, maybe that person is literally physically open to someone coming in and breaking this conversation. It also means small, darting glances to everyone around the room.
Everyone?
Everyone you want to approach you.
Oh, everyone you want to approach you?
Yeah.
How many times does someone got to do a glance to get someone to come over?
So Monica Moore actually studied this. I believe it took 8 glances to get someone to approach. Don't quote me on that. It was way higher than I thought. When I'm gesturing, I'm sort of gesturing towards them. So I'm on their line of gesturing. So like if I'm gesturing out, I'm making a gesture for them to literally come over. If they are attracted to you at all, they will come over. If they don't come over, they're probably not attracted to you. Try someone else. People who got...
This works very well. I have I'm sure she's probably some sort of PhD in her field because this is on Diary of a CEO. So this definitely works. And I'm telling you this as someone who does this myself. And this is a learned behavior. I didn't watch this video and then start doing this. This is kind of a learned behavior over time on how to kind of get people's attention. The reason it's 8 makes sense because the first few, okay, this is going to sound weird. I'm just going to give you guys a little bit of game. When you walk into a room or a bar or a club or whatever, right? The first couple of glances around is just scoping who is there, what does everyone look like, and what is their attractiveness level in relation to all the other possible people here that I could meet and talk to. So that's like the first couple of glances around the room. You're really just taking in everyone. Then as you take your first kind of scans around the room as you walk in, you're now then going to be honing in on a few people. I'm just telling you this is how the brain works, at least for the guy, for me as a guy. Then you're honing in on a few people. So then you get maybe into like glance number, 4 or 5 here. Then as you hone in on a few different people and you're kind of feeling them out, now you're kind of seeing, okay, who are the top few that I really want to get their attention based on now you're also factoring in not just looks, what is their body language like, right? Is she sitting with 2 girls or 3 girls? Is she by herself? When she's by herself or when she's sitting with her friend, is she smiling a lot in her interaction with them? Does she look like there's another guy she's waiting for? Are there drinks around? And I'm just telling you, this is a guy, I'll also be gauging, are other men approaching her? When other men approach her, what is the guy's approach? How does she respond to other guys approaching her? Does she seem to be into a particular type? Does she seem to be very disinterested? What's her body like? So all of this, I know I'm going really deep, is things that I'm taking in, which is probably why it takes so many glances to really know, okay, that person's looking at me. Not only am I attracted to them, but they're also attracted to me. Now, I'll give this other caveat as well. When I go out now, at least for the past 2 years, whenever I was going out, it would be, I'm sober. So that also plays a role in my ability to do all of this analyzing. I'm like, literally, like studying everything that's happening because I'm sober. Now, if you're drunk, it's going to be a lot harder to do all this. I'm not saying that you can't drink or have fun. I'm just saying part of the reason my brain is working on this level is because I'm out and I'm sober and I'm like, have a clear mind. I don't do nothing. I just go out stone cold, just like that. Okay. Raw, as the kids would say. Raw dog, the kids would say. Anyways.
I cannot fucking stand women say silly shit like, just because he did you like that don't mean he gonna do me like that. Girl, shut the fuck up. We got the same fucking man. Your ass is not getting nothing more different than what the fuck I got, goofy. And then they kills me because they could be in a relationship with a motherfucker for 5-6 years and shit and swear but down that you was the motherfucking problem. No, bitch, I wasn't the motherfucking problem. It's just shit that you're putting up with that I would never in a million fucking years put up with. Fuck is you talking about? Then it really trips me the fuck out when they come on social media and try to flash your shit in your motherfucking face like, yeah, he did this for me, he bought me this and bought me that. Girl, I don't give a fuck. And then it be the same bitches that come on motherfucking internet and shit.
She's angry.
5-7 months later talking about how he tearing her motherfucking ass up and call out her name and shit in private. This is why when it comes to relationships, I envy absolutely no fucking body. Because ain't nobody gonna never, ever, ever tell you 100% what's going on behind closed doors. I don't give a fuck what nobody talking about. Don't envy nobody because you never know how these motherfuckers really getting treated in real life. That's all I'm saying. I can't.
And the side little note to that as well is anytime you're thinking to yourself, I want someone else's life, or I want someone else's relationship, right? It's energy taken away from being the best version of you. Remember we talked about earlier in the show, your BV, your best version of you, and your train going in that direction. That train, that destination is unique to you. It's unique to your personality, your lifestyle, your family, your friends, your situation, your location. All of that stuff is what creates the best version of you, not the best version of someone else, okay? And so that also relates to your, someone said not the BB, that also relates to your relationships, right? The best version of your relationship for you and how you work and how you operate. And there's particular things that you need that work for you, that have to happen for you, that may not be someone else in someone else's relationship. But you'll be in a constant place of disappointment and sadness and wishing, longing, hoping for. Whenever you're always looking at what someone else has in comparison with you, to feel like, oh, well, my life would be so much better if I just had this or just had that. Because there'll always be something that you can add to the table and say, oh, well, if I had this, my life would be better. But if you got that, then you'd have a different problem. If I had this, then my life would be so much better. Then you get that, and then you have different problems. Okay, there's always problems. The problems never stop. You just have to understand how you become the best version of you and deal with the things that you have to deal with in your own life. All right, chat, let's hop into our next segment of the day. A very amazing segment, a very awesome segment. It's a special time. It's an amazing time, and it's a time where you're going to laugh and cry. Please spam up in the chat if you know what time it is. Okay? Don't look at your watch. Don't look at your clock. Don't look at your phone. Don't look. Oops. They're trying to get to me on here. Don't look nowhere else in your entire home. If you don't know the time, I'm going to tell you the time. I'm not going to be able to yell this time. I can't yell, so I'm going to say it quietly. Discord time. Okay? I can't yell because my voice in my throat, chat, but it is Discord time, all right? Let's hop into our Discord segment of the show. For those of you who don't know how this works, I'm going to explain it to you real quick. Discord time is where all the amazing members of our Discord Players Club community get an opportunity to ask me a question about their relationship or their situationship, and I answer it live on the show. Now, you have a few different ways that you can send in your question, and I'm going to specify them to you right now. So the first way is by sending in your question into our relationship advice free forum. And now this is a first come, first serve forum. So when you drop your question in, and that link is available in my TikTok bio or the link in my description on YouTube. And when you drop this question into our forum, you see here, there are some that are highlighted because I haven't gotten to them yet. And I have to answer these questions on a first come, first serve basis. So if you ask your question here today, it'll probably take me a few days to get to your question in the free section because it is first come, first serve. Now, if you're too impatient to wait a couple of days for me to answer your question, you have another option to send in your question. This is our premium. Oh my gosh, we got a lot in here. This is our premium relationship advice forum. This forum here is for those of you who want to skip the line of queue of people that are waiting to get their question answered because you don't want to wait. Now, the way you get your question into premium is by going to the link in my bio on TikTok or the link in my description on YouTube. Click where it says Premium Discord Relationship Advice, and then you're going to donate to the show first and type in your username and what the title of your question will be. And then once you do that, you're going to be redirected to going into our Premium Discord. Then you can type out your question, drop it in there with the same title. I get a notification. I see your donation. I see that that's you that has asked that question, and then you get to skip the line of people, and that's how we keep it fair for everyone in the Discord and for the Discord time. Now, if you want to ask me a question, but you don't want your information to be read out onto the show, because obviously we talk in depth about the situation, you can also ask me a private relationship question, which is here in our Discord. It's also a link in my description on YouTube and a link in my bio on TikTok. When you click that link, then you'll see the option to ask a private relationship question. There you can ask me a question, type it out as long as you want, and then I respond to you with a voice message, usually 8 to 10 minutes, depending on the length of your question. And that gets sent back to your email. No one else sees it except for me. So that way you can have your privacy there if you want it. Let's hop into our first question of the day. This one was the one from Lida from yesterday, okay? So this one comes from Sis. Sis says, should I break up or confront him? I am livid. Okay. Remember how my man always says he was loyal since our first date, even after I ask him many times and say it's fine if he wasn't, but lying is a deal breaker. Oh, so you're saying that if he wasn't, if he wasn't, but lying is a deal breaker. Okay. Like, I think you meant to say if he was. Well, I just saw on a girl's Visco that when I was in Lebanon, he took her out on a date. Oh boy. She was in his car holding a bear. Oh, like a bear, like a teddy bear. He won in a Kingpins, just like the one he won me later on. Oh, no. Okay. We weren't together at the time, but still. Oh, okay. Wait. Wait. Okay. Okay. I'm actually shaking right now. There was also a rose he got her on the car, and he never got me roses until 6 months down the line when I was upset about a bad grade. I am so close to breaking up with him, but I will still try my best to stay calm until you see this. He never posted any girls besides me, so I never knew. She posted herself. Anyways, I looked at the month and day she posted it, and remember when he used to text me every day after I left to Lebanon. I take days to reply dryly. Then he stopped texting me 20 days before I came back to the US. Then the day I came back, he asked me out again. I thought he stopped texting me because I showed no interest, but the picture of her on a date with him was 5 days before he stopped texting me. When I recently asked if he talked to girls when I was in Lebanon, he denied it always, and he brought up me being on a yacht where there were dudes and girls. I posted that on my story when I was in Lebanon. So I posted that when I was in Lebanon, but it was after he ghosted me and after he took her out. I am on vacation right now with my family, and he has booked our trip to Arizona for 4 days after I am back. I posted a pic of me looking so pretty in a dress on vacation, and this is what he texted me. We're getting nosy here, chat. Okay, let's open up this browser. Oh boy. Okay, so this is what he texted you. Let's see this here. Let me go into our window here, and let's see this. See if we can get this up on the screen for everyone. Okay, so let's zoom in here. So we'll click on this. We'll zoom in. So you said, sorry, this is him saying this. What you eat. We're watching a movie, all of us. Show had you look so pretty. Hayati in the past. Hayati just means like my world, my love. In the post, I mean, you always look so pretty, but oof, my girl is bad. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't see an issue with that. He likes how you look in the dress. All right. Okay, update. He could tell that something was wrong. I don't know how he can just tell. He says his stomach hurts him every time I am upset about something. But I told him about it, and apparently it was a group thing, and it wasn't Kingpins. It was a fair, and he was fixing her up with his friend who got the rose for her and the bear, and his friend effed her. But she took a pic in front of his car with the bear and the rose to make her ex leave her alone. He sent me a picture of a screenshot 2 weeks after the pic of her on his car, and it was his friend cuddling with her, so I think he's being honest. So there was some sort of evidence to corroborate the story there. He blocked her on Instagram right now and Snap. Oh, wow. So he went ahead and just said, I want you to know there ain't nothing going on here. He said when I'm back, he will text her in front of me about why she has pics of his car posted, and that they're not close like that. He said the reason he stopped texting me when I was in Lebanon was because he wanted to see if I cared, because he would always text me and I'd barely respond, and that he has chats with his brother to prove he was always asking advice about me ghosting him and taking days to reply. He also said he bought us first class tickets and got me a whole surprise of a helicopter to bring down roses and necklaces for me in Arizona, that it was supposed to be a surprise, but now he told me to show me how much he loves me and only me, and how I'm more than perfect. I'm going to be honest with you, sis. I don't really... So hearing your story now, hearing it all back, gathering all the information that you said you have now, and understanding men, I just don't think that this is as big of an issue as you're imagining it to be. I get it. It's upsetting for you to see a picture of a girl in front of your man's car and feeling like he was lying to you about something. But one, let's just say in the hypothetical scenario, he was actually lying to you. And this is all actually a cover up for the fact that he took her out on a date. All of that is slightly irrelevant because this was happening while you guys weren't together, right? And you said it yourself. We weren't together at the time, but still, I get it. It's upsetting to be lied to, but are you going to break up with him because he went on a date with a girl before he was with you? Especially if you have no evidence to say he's continuing to talk to her or there's anything weird going on as it relates to your relationship with him now. I get it. I'm not saying that lies should be okay ever, and that I'm not saying that you should be okay with people lying to you, but like you also have to factor in at one point he was single and he may or may not have known if he was actually going to end up with you. So I get it. While it's frustrating, are you going to throw away the whole relationship because of a girl he may or may not have taken out on a date while he was single? I just don't know if that's necessarily, that's equal in terms of, the response to that, especially when after you confronted him. This is why I'm also saying that, right? After you confronted him, his response is to go about his way of not only telling you the story, right, in the way that he described to you what happened, but also corroborating the story with evidence that he couldn't just gather on the spot, right? Sending you a picture of a screenshot of her with the other guy and them cuddling is not something he can just make up on the spot. It's not like text messages that he can just say, oh, don't you remember when we did this or we did that? He's actually showing you evidence that would be impossible to curate unless he knew somehow that you were going to confront him about this. So that piece of evidence there, you should also be factoring in to say to yourself, literally, it would be impossible for him to just make this on the spot. Okay. And you have to be mature enough to understand that. The other part about that is in his response, he immediately went to blocking her on Instagram and Snap to show you that he has no connection to her. He's not even trying to make this messy or make you feel insecure about anything that he's doing here. He wants to make it clear he doesn't want her. There's nothing going on with her, and it's nothing for him to just completely get rid of her out of his life, right? Which is a good sign, because it would be a bad sign if you said block her and then he was trying to make excuses why he can't block her. He's already going before you, I'm assuming, right? Before you've even said anything, he's going ahead and showing you it ain't nothing to block her on everything because I have no connection or attachment to her. That's another sign of not only taking accountability, but taking action towards finding a solution. So everyone makes mistakes, and guys will make mistakes too, even the guys that you date. But this amount of action towards a solution, not just talking about it, but actually trying to put you at ease and then going forth and taking action on doing the most to make you feel comfortable, that screams to me like that's very healthy. I'm not going to lie to you. I get it. Not everyone's going to be perfect. And sometimes you might be in confusing situations, but I think his response is of someone who actually cares. On top of that, he went ahead. This is not a response to you finding out about this or confronting him about this, but he done already got you some first class tickets, got you a whole. I'm going to be honest with you. I've never in my life seen anyone deliver roses in a helicopter. I've never seen that. Not from anyone famous, not from any millionaire or billionaire. I've never seen roses get delivered in a helicopter. I didn't even know that was a thing that you can even do. Okay? So I just say that to say, I don't think that this is the guy like some of the other messages that we be receiving in the Discord that are playing girls and going behind their back and trying to be sneaky. Based on what you told me, this doesn't strike me as one of those situations. I think this is more of a misunderstanding. And yes, you saw some things that made you question some things, but I don't think based on his response that there is any reason to not believe his story that was corroborated by evidence that he couldn't even make up on the spot. Okay, so I don't think that there's any reason to be thinking that anything is going on behind your back. I'm not saying you can't be upset, but I don't think anything's actually going on here, aside from him loving you a lot. Let's go on to our next one, which comes from a non-girl. She says, guide for how to date man. Hi, Tomisin. I'm trying to make this outline for myself for when I go out on dates so I can keep accountable to the things I have learned on your channel. Can you advise me if there's anything I'm missing? Month 1 date a week, so 4 dates in month 1. First date, 2 hours for the date. Do not reveal any info about me that he can use to craft his responses dedicated to my desire / fantasy. Yes. Make him feel really comfortable so he can reveal as much information about him. Yes, you're going to be a sexy, seductive therapist. Have him reveal a typical day in his life, routines, work, hobbies. Yes, because you want to understand if it's even logistically possible to be in a relationship with a guy like this. So, for example, if the guy's telling you, yeah, so right now I'm working as a club promoter, and basically every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Thursday night, I'm blackout drunk, getting girls into the club. And so I have to talk to girls all the time because that's my job. And I have to be out late till 4 a.m. because that's my job. Probably not going to see a lot of progress trying to build a relationship with a guy who's in that place in his life. That's just the reality. Okay. Get a sense of what he values. Is he passionate about what he is passionate about during the conversation, but do not ask him directly. Yeah, you're kind of asking around to get a feel of things, get a theme of what he's into, what he's passionate about. Figure out a reason why him and his ex broke up, 100%. Figure out how much money he makes, what his financial situation is. How do I do this? Well, this is something that when you start asking him about his life, his hobbies, his routines, you're going to get that information indirectly. So, for example, if he says, I work as a firefighter, he doesn't need to tell you I make $200,000 a year, right? It's easy to search up how much firefighters make, and you'll have a ballpark about how much he makes. Also, when you get smart, you understand working at certain companies means certain things. So, for example, if he says, I'm a software engineer at Google, he's probably not making less than $250,000 a year, okay? Just, because understanding working at Google means you're on the upper echelon of what you're doing. So that's where you kind of have to do some inferring, because you don't want to come across as if you're like so focused on his money. Once you hear where he works, what his position is, that's enough to put together a ballpark of what he makes. Are you following me? It should be in most cases. Figure out what he wants, marriage, kids-wise, and when. How do I do this? That's also in conversation of asking him questions, right? About what he's into, what he likes, his family dynamic, what he wants, kind of for his own future. The way you ask that is not, hey, how many kids do you want to have with me? Because it's very important for me to understand that. You ask that of, what are some of these things that you want for your own life? So now you can ask a whole bunch of questions that relate to that question. What are some of the things you want for your own life in terms, you can ask, this is a really vague one that you can start off with. Where do you want to live in the future? Like, where's your ideal place to live? It's very innocent, very, non-judgmental. It doesn't seem like you're trying to dig for anything specific because it's just about where do you want to live? Where would be the best place to, he might say, I want to live in Miami. Okay. Why do you want to live it? Why is that your dream place to live in? Why do you want to live there? I want to be able to go out, do things, go to restaurants, experience life, drive fast cars, all that. Okay, interesting. Now you start understanding, okay, this guy, his future, his best life is living in Miami. I don't think he's yet at a place mentally or emotionally where he's ready to actually be in a relationship. Because if he's telling me his dream is to move to Miami, I don't think that's the guy that I should be trying to make a husband out of. You don't judge him or tell him he's wrong for that. You just take in that information and you combine it with the other pieces of information you're going to be receiving on these dates to understand, okay, what is he really trying to say here, right? How does he see his life in 5 years? That's kind of part of the same question. What do you want for yourself? Month 2, 2 dates a week, 2 hours. So 8 dates total. What do I do when I get to month 2? What information do I need to learn? This process here, this is an ongoing process. This process never stops, right? So obviously, once you learn about his job once, you don't stop learning about his job. But I don't want you guys to think that, once I get one answer to one question, it stops. Once I talk about his ex one time and he tells me the gist of what happens, that's the last time I ever talk about it, right? You continue being curious enough to continue learning and understanding him. Like there should never be a point where you feel like I've learned and understood a man well enough. And the reason I say that is because you might think, I don't need to ask any more questions. But then down the line, you'll realize I actually don't know this person a lot. At the beginning of the show, when I was making a reference to The Ultimatum and I was making a reference to Zaina and JR, Now, you guys don't need to watch The Ultimatum to understand this, but in their relationship, they were dating for 3 years. And near the end of the show, when they kind of got back together and they were having conversation, one of the things that they said to each other was, hey, let's spend some dedicated time to getting to know each other. And you want to know the type of questions they were asking each other? They were asking each other, hey, tell me about like your family and your life. Tell me about your upbringing. How did that make you feel? What were your experiences like? What were some of your fears in life, growing up as a child? Those were the things they were talking about 3 years into their relationship, because they realized that they didn't actually know each other on that level of depth. Okay. So the reason I'm giving you that example is because you should never adopt the mindset that I just need to ask enough things to get enough information to move forward to the next thing. Right. And after that, I don't need to worry about it again. You're always in the mind frame where I'm always constantly trying to learn and understand you better. Right, on every topic, in every situation. And as you grow and adjust and your perspective changes and the things that you see and observe changes and your realizations change, right? I want to, on an ongoing basis, have an updated understanding of where you stand, what you feel, what you've been experiencing, and who you are right now on this at this second. Okay, because he might experience some things in month 1 and experience some things in month 2 that change him, or change the way he's going about life, or change how serious he is about this relationship. Okay, so the learning process never stops. And I'm not saying that you ask all of these exact questions over and over again, but as he reveals to you more things should become intriguing to you, more topics should become questions for you, or things that you want to understand about him. Okay, and that's kind of the other thing that I should mention to you. If this process sounds too boring or uninteresting, where you're thinking to yourself, by month 2, I'm still asking him questions, that's so boring, that's not the guy for you. I'm gonna tell you that. I'm gonna tell you that honestly. The guy for you should be the guy that you're excited that month 2 is coming and there's more for you to learn. If you don't feel excited to learn more about this guy, like truthfully and honestly, if you don't feel excited to learn more about the guy that you're dating, that's not even the guy that you should be dating, because you should feel an excitement towards understanding the person you're going to spend the rest of your life with. And if that feels like a chore to you, or feels like, damn, I already done asked all the questions, there ain't no damn more questions to ask, I'm bored now, or I want to do something else, go ahead, find you a different guy, because that should be an ongoing, thing for you that is always interesting to you in the first year, the second year, the 50th year, the 80th year. Okay. You should be interested in learning about your person. I'm not saying any person, but your person. Okay. All right. Let's go into our next question here. Our next question comes from Shaggy99. Okay. Let me just do this here. Okay, so Shaggy99 says, have I sabotaged the relationship? Okay. Shaggy99, hi Tomisin, I am 25. The guy I started dating is 26. Okay. We met on Tinder in October. Is this going to be one of those messages? The first time we met, within the first 5 minutes, he told me that his dad recently passed away of cancer and he was adopted. Okay, that's a pretty heavy first 5 minutes, but okay, that's his life. I'm not going to fault him for telling you about his life. I followed your strategy and let him do most of the talking. I'm sure he's ready to if that's what he says to you in the first 5 minutes. Then we went on date number 2 and we kissed. I let him talk and tell me, we've met 7 times so far. We live 2 hours apart. We were supposed to meet today too, but I had a bad feeling from yesterday that he was with another girl. Please do tell. So I started stalking his follower list on Instagram and discovered that the picture he had posted on his story was the same picture that another girl had posted on her story and had written, "Here we continue cuddling." So please tell me, Shaggy99, what did you do? So we were supposed to meet today and go skiing. He wrote in the morning, "See you soon." I wrote, "It'll be fine." Then he called after half an hour and told me that he had to go to his family to meet his biological mother. Oh yeah, he's adopted, right? So okay, that's a huge deal. Okay, that's a huge deal if that's true. He sees his biological mother once a year. Okay, and then I started to wonder, what are you going to see your biological mother? I think you meant to say for, when you only see her once a year for 40 minutes. Okay, pause. That's not your place to judge why an adopted, person that's been an adopted child would have desire to see his biological mother. This is where you kind of have to like step outside of yourself, assuming like he actually is going to see his biological mother. If you've never experienced what it's like to be adopted, you have no idea what it's like to try and long for a connection with your biological parent. So I'm just saying, and I'm not in this position either. None of us that are not adopted are in any position to judge what someone who's adopted does or wants from their biological parent, because we don't even know what it's like to be in that position. I'm just saying that to help you understand, if that's truthful, what he went to go see his biological mother, you have no place to judge the reason he's doing that. Okay, I'm just letting you know. Okay, I didn't tell him that. You don't need to worry. It didn't feel right. I think he actually slept over at a girl's place. Okay, that's different then. Assuming that, that was assuming that he actually did that. Now, if you think that that's a cop-out, that's different. Anyways, he said he would be an hour late for the date. And then he said we could cancel. But then he said that he really wanted to go skiing with me. Skiing is not something that you just, let's go, let's not go. It's not something you hop back and forth about like you're going to a random restaurant. But I was annoyed and sad and told him that I don't want to anymore. That's fine. Then I also told him that I started to change my mind. And then he also said that he started to change his mind about our relationship. Okay, shocker. Then he asked me why I've started to change my mind. And I said, I don't want to take that call on the phone. Then he said, but let's do it when you're in my hometown. And I told him that I'm not sure if I want to. So what do you want to do here? Because if you don't want this relationship, then you don't want this relationship. But it's what are we doing here? Then he wanted to continue talking to me on the phone, and I had to tell him I had to go now, and we said goodbye to each other. A little more background, I have always kept our dates between 2 hours and 2 hours and 30 minutes. We have not had pineapples because I want to wait until marriage. The last time we met, I was in his hometown, and I was staying in a hotel. We cuddled, and he wanted to sleep over, but I said no. I wanted to take it easy. But at one point, he said he was starting to get feelings and deleted all dating apps. Okay, that's not a thing. Okay, I love you all, and I want you guys to succeed in your dating life. One thing that I want to just make very clear and obvious to you, when you meet a guy on a dating app, so you met this guy on Tinder, okay? In your mind, your life is the only life that is existing. And so everyone's kind of existing around you. It's not unnatural. We all kind of think that to some extent. What you have to understand is when you get on a dating app and you meet a guy and you go out on a date with a guy, the likelihood that you're the first person he's ever gone on a date with from that dating app is slim to none. Okay? The other thing that you have to factor in is that on that dating app, he has access to thousands of women. If he lives in a big city or close to a big city, even just like an hour or so away, he has access to thousands of different women in terms of being able to see them on the dating app. So the chances that you will be either the first person he's ever met or swiped right on that dating app, or the last person he ever spoke to or went on a date with from that dating app is very slim to almost impossible. Okay? I'm not saying that to demoralize you or disappoint you. I'm just saying that to kind of throw in some real statistics to you so that your delusion doesn't play tricks on you. Because what I want you to understand is yes, I get it. It's a little bit upsetting to realize that this guy is also dating another girl. But here's what you also have to understand. You met this guy on Tinder, a dating app. Did you think to yourself that you would be the first girl he ever goes out on a date with? Or the only girl he would ever, be dating at this time? And the other thing that I want to add to you and make obvious to you is that the first person to tell you that they don't care about dating apps is the guys who are using the dating apps. Because they understand that a way to kind of make it seem like they're really serious about you is to convince you that, oh my God, I love you so much and I want to be with you so much that this dating app that we met on, I literally deleted it just for you because of how amazing you are. It sounds good and it feels good to convince yourself that that's really true. But in reality, majority of those men aren't actually doing that. They're not actually deleting the dating app for you. Okay? They're continuing to see women. They're continuing to talk to women, partially because they want to keep their options open, but also partially because for some men, and this is going to sound a little bit weird, for some of those men, it becomes an addiction to be able to swipe left and swipe right and match with people and chat with them and go out on dates with different girls all the time. It's almost like a version of overstimulation, because if he's, able to actually go out with these women and date a whole bunch of different women, that amount of access is something that guys don't want to give up easily. So they love the dopamine hit of matching with a new girl every single day and talking with a new girl every single day and going out on a date with a new girl every single week. There are guys that love that. They're not on dating apps to be in a relationship. They're on dating apps to date and just continuously date all the time. Date, not actually build anything. So I say that to say that's a lie. Then I said, I want to take it easy and see. He also kept talking about my dad, maybe liking him, and he wanted to meet my friends, but I was never ready. Okay, so what this also says to me is the pace that the relationship was moving at was even making you a little bit uncomfortable. And based on how well you knew him or the things that you were seeing of him, you didn't feel like it was at all justified to be progressing your relationship into certain stages. So for example, him meeting your dad when you're seeing that he's still dating other people, that don't make a damn bit of sense. And it shouldn't to you, which should also be telling you, this guy is not the type of guy I'm looking for. Because not only is he dating other people, but he's talking to me as if he's not dating other people. And I know he's dating other people. So especially at the beginning, it's not something that you need to like call him out on or tell him, hey, you're a bad person for this and a bad person for that. That's just information you observe and say, oh, I don't even want to be with this guy or talk to this guy. Because if he's going to date other people and then not at least be honest with you about the fact he's dating other people, first of all, that's, confusing to you. And that's going to kind of, confuse you on where you stand with him. But on top of the fact that he's dating other people and then telling you things like, oh, I deleted dating apps because of you and I want to meet your dad, not only is that confusion, but he's also lying to you to manipulate you. And that's purposeful manipulation, especially knowing that he's continuing to date other people while presenting it as if he's found some magical love with you. Okay. The reason I say all of that is to help you understand what your conclusion should be from this is that this is not the guy you should even continue dating or seeing or speaking to. Let him go and be with the girl that he took out and he cuddled and be with that woman, and he can meet her dad, meet her family, meet her everything. I don't think based on what you just told me, I don't think there's any real reason to actually explore a relationship with this guy when you're already seeing these things from him on the first couple of dates here. I know you've met 7 times so far, but to be going through this so early on, I don't think that this is something that you should be continuing, especially when you know what he's actually doing. Okay. Let's go on to our next question here. Our next question comes from Princess 4D. Okay, Princess in 4D. Seeking guidance on a promising new connection, 2 parts. Hi, Tomisin. I recently started talking to another guy, 24, and I'm 26. He's showing me promise, but still very early. Only 2 weeks of talking. We've been on 1 date so far, and he's planned another one for this week. From our conversations on the phone and in person, I've gathered that he's very family-oriented and meets everything on my list of basics I'd require in a husband. As I've also mentioned, it's still early, so I'm taking your advice on pacing both him and myself. He lives 4 hours away, but he doesn't mind making the drive and
has said he believes in making it work if you truly want to. Despite the circumstances, one night while we were on the phone and I was getting him to open up, he admitted he'd been watching my social media for a while, waiting for the right opportunity to ask me out because he wasn't sure if I was single because I always post flowers that guys get me. Okay? Interesting. I think it's cute. And so far, he's been very intentional. All right. He brought flowers on our first date. And when my dog passed away yesterday, he sent flowers to my door. He's shown that he's willing to go out of his way for me whenever I need him. He says I'm his dream girl, though I know it's likely based on looks since it's still so new. And he doesn't even know me deeply yet. Okay, at least, see, I can tell you've been watching the show for a while because you're not allowing the delusions to take over your mind. Even when he starts telling you what you want to hear, you're in your own mind, pacing yourself and saying, great, I'm glad you think I'm amazing. You don't know me yet, and I don't know you yet. Let's get to know each other, and we'll see if we're still amazing to each other after we learn each other a little bit deeper. It's a good place to be in, right? You're more logical in your approach to dating. Okay, it'll be better for you. However, he does pay attention to the things I tell him, and he's been very intentional in his actions. Here's my question. My best friend mentioned that she and her current boyfriend, also in a long-distance relationship, have FaceTime dates where they dress up and have dinner together over the phone. I think that's great. They still see each other at least once a month, but virtual dates help them stay connected. They've been together 2 years. I'm wondering if I should bring this up as an idea to the guy I'm talking to, or should I wait until we're more committed? I think it might be a fun way to connect, and of course, I'd let him take the lead in setting up dates. What do you think? Also, I should mention that he's here on a visa. He's Ghanaian. Okay, so he's West African. I'm Nigerian. While I might be jumping ahead, I'd prefer to be well prepared. So what are some questions I can ask him to ensure he isn't trying to build a connection or appear perfect just to get a citizenship through eventual marriage? Okay, you're a smart cookie. I don't mean to be negative, but I'm very aware of this because I've heard horror stories. You're 26. You're pretty smart for 26. While he's showing a lot of promise, I want to gather as much information as possible to protect myself from being taken advantage of. Very smart. So the reason I say this is because this is definitely a thing. Okay. I'm telling you this is a Nigerian, and I'm telling you this that actually I have family members that have been through this and are part of the horror stories that you hear. Okay. Because there are many people that are in third world and even second world countries that will come to America or Canada or a first world country in general and marry a citizen of that country in order to get their citizenship. So they're obviously going to be looking out for people, whether they're attracted to them, whether they actually want to be with them or not. They just want to get married so that they can become a citizen. And then once they get married, you'll see a very different side of them. So that does happen, and I'm not at all saying that it doesn't happen. So yes, there is a level of protection that you need to be taking because you don't want to be in that scenario. So for you, in your specific situation, Princessin, you want to be very, very cognizant of consistency because as time goes on, the act will become harder to keep up with because, someone in that position will be trying to speed things up as fast as possible. So I'm not saying his intention is a bad thing, but what I want you to take note of is, can he be intentional for a long period of time? You're still in the early stages, right? So let's see 3 months down the line if this level of intentionality and intensity stays the same or ramps up. If his level of seriousness and approach to the relationship stays the same. The other thing that you, in your specific situation, you really want to hone in on, when you get your first big fight, I want you to let him be, let him talk, and let him act. What I mean by that, your first big fight, I really want you to let him crash out if he's going to crash out. If he starts talking to you crazy, let him go. If he starts acting crazy, let him go. What I mean by let him go is I want you to see it. I want you to experience it. Don't try to stop him. Don't try to talk him out of it. If you ever notice him crashing out for your first big fight, let's see it happen. Because what I want for you is that first big fight is going to be your first little glimpse into who he truly is. So I'm not saying you purposely make a fight or anything like that. What I'm saying is that time where you guys have a big disagreement, it will come. That's just the reality of relationships. When that time comes, use that as your opportunity to gain some valuable information about his true character, because it's great. He can drop you off flowers when he feels good about you. He can be really intentional when he likes you and all that good stuff. But let's see how he treats you when it isn't all that good, or when maybe you do something that upsets him, or maybe you guys have some sort of disagreement or fight or argument. Let's see if that same good treatment is consistent. There you'll get a lot of good information about who he really is and what he's really here for. Okay? Because it's very hard to hold back your actual intentions when you're angry. Okay? Especially West African angry. Now, the other thing that I want to mention to you is when it comes to, now I'm not saying that necessarily he's going to flip on you or do anything crazy. I'm just saying, because you said you want to protect yourself, that's a way to do that. Now, the other thing here, in order to, because you're talking about, oh, how can I mention this, in a way that doesn't seem like I'm the one leading? Just mention it as something that you've noticed your girlfriend does. So in the process of talking about your friends, because it shouldn't be unnatural for you to talk about your friends, you can talk about something that you've seen her do that you think is really cool. That they actually get dressed up and they go out on FaceTime and they have a conversation or a date like they're actually together in real life, and how you think that's so interesting, to try, because you think that that's actually a really good way to keep the, relationship going, right? But you've just never been in that position before. Trust me, a smart, intelligent man will hear you say that and hear you say how you would like to do that, or you think that's very interesting. And he will take that idea and he will implement it himself for you and your long distance relationship with him. Okay. A stupid, unintentional, emotionally stunted man will not be able to pick up on that, in which case just go ahead and don't worry about it, because you don't even want a man like that. A smart, intentional man, it's very simple to pick up on the fact that, hey, that's actually a great idea. That's actually a great way for us to keep our relationship. We should do that. Okay, it's not very hard for guys who know what they're doing. And just by you bringing up the fact that your girlfriend does it and you think it's really cool and awesome and exciting, he will say, yeah, we can implement something like that as well. Or he'll start asking you more questions about it, or even say, would you like us to do that? In which case you can say, yeah, I would love that. And then allow him to lead from there. Okay. Sometimes, getting guys to do what you want is just about being suggestive and understanding how to give slight nudges and then letting them take the ball from there. All right. And that's how you can do that for that. I believe that's all of your questions there. Right. So the other thing obviously is make sure let's see what that first big fight is like, see what his reaction is to you, and see if you start getting some real information about him. Not saying that, he's only there for citizenship, but that's the way you actually protect yourself. Okay. So you should only be thinking your relationship doesn't start with him until you have your first big fight. That's when your relationship with him officially starts, because that's when you're going to see a little bit more of the true colors, and it'll become more obvious to you what his real intentions are here. All right. Okay, that's the show for today. For those of you who have any questions for me, whether you want to drop it into our free relationship advice section, our premium section, or you want to send me in a private question, all of those links are available in my TikTok bio or the link in my description on YouTube. For those of you who are watching me on TikTok and you want to follow me on Instagram, my Instagram is just above my head on the top left corner of the screen. It's Tomisin _Atob, TOMISIN_ATOB. For those of you on YouTube, it's down in the bottom of the description. You'll see my Instagram link there as well. For those of you who are watching on TikTok and you want to rewatch the show from start to finish because you missed some parts or you came late, it's just my name on the top right corner of my head there, TOMISIN. Type it in on YouTube. Go to my YouTube channel, and then you go over into the live section. You'll be able to see this live stream and all the other live streams I've done since the beginning of time. You'll have the YouTube live chat and the TikTok live chat embedded in the video, so you'll be able to keep up with all the conversation and the comedians that we have in the chat. All right. I'm here every weekday, Monday to Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So until we meet again, which will be tomorrow, right? Tomorrow's Friday. Damn, tomorrow's Friday? Because we had that day off. All right. Tomorrow's Friday. I'll be here 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we'll be back talking about love, life, and relationships. Until we meet again, Goodbye for now. Arrivederci, au revoir, hasta la vista, sayonara, adios, ciao, salam, bon voyage! And I'll see you again tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, okay? Hopefully I'm less nasally, less stuffed. I'm going to continue drinking tea. Oh, by the way, thank you so much to Shaggy, who donated 20 SEK in our YouTube chat. Thank you so much. He said, have I sabotaged the relationship? I think I answered your question, right? I answered your question. All right, chat. I'll see you tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I love you so much. Good.